Good morning. Finally on time for once. Welcome to the Associated Guest. I am always, as you are your, I am always, as always, okay, I'm not doing great this morning. I, as always, am your host, Alpha Animus. Clearly not awake yet. I need to finish this cup of coffee. Here at the Baron Mind channel. Thank you for stopping by, even though English is difficult for me. All right, today we have Mortal Kombat Legacy launches to not great reviews. What should have been a slam dunk. Not so much. Not so much indeed. Had a bunch of stories I was going to do for today, but I landed on these two just because I've been a lifelong Mortal Kombat fan, and civil like strife, but within a political party is always fascinating to me. Especially when it's time to pull together. If MAGA ever wants, or if the right ever wants to keep the left at bay, so to speak, they need to pull together, for the love of God. But you have people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, and to a lesser extent, Nick Fuentes. I never thought I'd say that. Pulling the conservatives apart at the seams a bit. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. First things first, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. That's Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat, and Mortal Kombat 4, which isn't that great. I think also the Sub-Zero game, which is this there for the lulz mostly, I'm sure. Recently released, I think Friday. I was going to get it, but then I went right on living. But let's see what Miss Vera Dark has to say about this.
Companies are so worried about making as much money as quickly as possible that they're not worried about impressing their fans and actually keeping audiences happy and on their side.
I do like how they keep with the K's for C's everywhere, community, complaints. It's pretty fun. For me, at least.
And unfortunately, Mortal Kombat The Legacy Collection recently released, and it is getting raked across the coals by gamers because it's got some major technical issues. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I do love a good remake or remaster or Legacy Collection for the series that I love the most, don't get me wrong. And I'm definitely somebody who will show up to buy these products if they're not constantly pumping them out. Maybe every couple of years we get one. But unfortunately, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, I would probably wait to purchase this, or at least
I was going to wait anyway, just to see what the reviews are, because these things are either hit or miss. They're either fantastic, like what I've heard of the Capcom Fighters collections, or they're dog shit, like the Grand Theft Auto Legacy Collection, which, by the way, apparently rounded back and doesn't suck now, which is what anyone can hope from a lot of these things. A lot of the time, it means just as much, if not more, to gamers, or even classic fans of some of these classic games, when you release something that's shit, and then instead of letting the people who did buy your product at face value flounder and sit there eating your shit, and you taking off with what little money, or sometimes a lot of money, that you started with, you take the time and fix it. Imagine that. But that's a face. It's baffling to me, and this is why. Oh shit! What was? Oh, that space game that released to shitty. What's the name of that space game that released and it was horrible, and then it got better over time? No, not Starfield. For the love of God. Okay, I have it in my library. Hold on. I should. Oh, No Man's Sky. Sorry, I don't know why that took me so long. But yeah, No Man's Sky. It released, and they made all of these promises. Not unlike the guy from Fable, who made all kinds of promises and then had no intention of ever living up to those, and even by the third or fourth game. But No Man's Sky, they worked their asses off because the game sold like fucking gangbusters. And it sucked. It wasn't anywhere near where they said it was, and this guy had been hyping it up so hard that the whole community was here for it. But what did he do? Did he take all the money and run off to some island? No. The motherfucker sat down with his team and fixed it and made it even better, some might argue, than it had any right to be, especially after launch. Does it suck that it happened in the first place? Yes. But the fact that the man sat down and fixed his error means almost as much, and sometimes even more, to hardcore gamers to make sure that your product is good even after you have their monies.
Know what you're getting yourself into and what you're spending $50 on, because the Legacy Collection, which recently released, has launched to mixed reviews on Steam because of major technical issues. So Mortal Kombat, the Legacy Collection, should have been an easy win. It bundles together the first 4 MK games, including the WaveNet version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, previously thought lost, as well as less fondly remembered spin-offs like Mortal Kombat Mythology, Sub-Zero for the sake of completeness, and the memes. It also comes with an interactive documentary about the history of the series, which does sound really cool, yet within the days of release, 55% of its Steam reviews are negative. Input lag is unacceptably high in every game, even offline, says one, with some players complaining it's even noticeable in the menus. Others are upset that the online's in a terrible state, quick play matches with random people only, you can't queue for more than one game at a time, so the community splintered between games, another laments. The 360/PS3 MK collection that came out over 10 plus years ago had better netcode than this. And it's not just the input lag in online that players are complaining about either. It's the AI coming in for the drubbing as well, since half of the match is just the enemy social distancing. They're staying 6 feet away from me. God forbid characters get COVID. And this is so sad to see, because it's not like this is, I don't know, a $5 or a $10 Legacy Collection that they expect you to put a couple of hours into, and sure, maybe it's not the highest level of quality. No, it's like they put the least amount of effort into this possible, and I'm so sick and tired of companies doing this.
Well, and it especially sucks because the first game, let's be honest, we only liked it for the blood. It wasn't that great. The controls were a bit wonky, and more or less it sucks. I don't even think there was most of the fatalities were good. I know Liu Kang sucked. But all it had to do was be the initial launch's style of jank. Especially if they did like some of these other games and they have multiple console releases. If they had the Sega and the Super Nintendo version of these games, because they are a little different, mostly just the blood code. But let's face it. If you play it on Sega, you want to play it on Sega. If you played it on Super Nintendo, you want to play it on Super Nintendo. Unless you're like me and you had a Sega and you wanted to play on Super Nintendo. But you had the blood code on Sega, so slightly worse graphics or blood, or slightly worse graphics and blood, or slightly better graphics and green goo. But if even that, I don't remember. But yeah, just make it the initial launch's level of jank. People want the authenticity, and it shouldn't be that hard to put 25, 30-year-old games onto a collection disc. Or bits, whatever.
I would rather you not ever touch a franchise again than release some cash grab, low effort fucking slop, and then you have that stain on your legacy and have that stain on your reputation. According to Digital Eclipse's FAQ, lobbies are coming in a post-release update. If a game is not ready to release, don't release it. It's not that shocking, guys. If you didn't have the time or the workers to put in all of the effort.
I'll say this. I agree and disagree to an extent. When it comes to launching the game, it should be playable. If you want to add features later, 100% I'm down. But especially if it's features that weren't there in the initial launch of the game. The online play, whatever. Or even if you launch the online and it's not quite there yet because something, the servers crashed, something, you had more people than you thought you'd have. That's not the case here, obviously. But again, as long as the core gameplay of playing Mortal Kombat, at least single player or at least local co-op or versus rather, is working, then who cares? Add the online feature later, add all these specials, or, add extra games like the Jax game or the Sub-Zero game or the Shaolin Monks game. You can bring those things later. What was it? There was another one that released fairly recently. I think Mario Party, the Superstars. I was hoping they would add more boards eventually. That wasn't the case. They ended up releasing a different Mario Party, and we are where we are. But it was still good.
Then just delay the game and actually have these lobbies coming in the full release because you've actually said to yourselves, we don't want to scam our customers. No, but companies don't care. In the weeks following launch, we will add online arcade, a system where you can create lobbies.
You hear that, lefties? Companies don't care about you. Imagine.
Choose the players and rotate games for the tastes of your private group of friends. We're finalizing the UI details on these features now. There's also been a hotfix to deal with some of the audio issues and a handful of other bugs, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to put it in a very high state of quality because it is still sitting at mixed. There are still bad reviews being put onto Metacritic, and just a lot of people are still very, very unhappy with this. I'm so sick and tired of companies going, nostalgia sells. Let's put the least amount of effort into a product release possible. I mean, there's tons of people here who have even refunded. Was really hyped for this game. I wanted a way to play UMK3 again, like back during the 360 port, but the input lag is insane. The patch yesterday lowered it a bit, but it's still bad. And looking into this is a problem on a level that is just unfixable for Digital Eclipse from the looks of it. So I had to refund. It is not worth the $50. And again, it's not like it's $10 and they're just kind of throwing these your way and hoping that you can play them. No, I mean, this is a significantly priced product. Poor effort by Digital Eclipse, greedy money grab, queuing for an hour until I gave up. They couldn't even add a bind for step in and out for MK4. Bought for myself to see what all the fuss is about regarding this collection coming in hot. MK3 Arcade and MK Trilogy feel worse to play than the versions I have on GOG that run off of DOSBox. They look about the same too on my modern monitor with next to no upscaling introduced, although there's the option for a poorly done CRT filter that just washes everything out. The older games feel laggy even on the character select screen.
And again, this shit's not enough. Don't just add CRT features or make it look like it's on a shittier TV that we had in the 90s and early 2000s. That's not enough. It's neato, sure, but it's not enough. And let's face it, most of these games, they should have the original soundtrack and then an updated soundtrack. One done with, actual music instead of the bit shit. Everyone loves the bit shit. I will always use the bit shit, but options are never a bad thing. I mean, unless they suck, it should still be a ripping track. Can you tell I was born in the 80s? But also, is it just me or are the Mariah Carey memes just fan-fucking-tastic this year? The Rita Repulsa one is my favorite, but I can't find it right now.
And if you were really hoping that Digital Eclipse was maybe going to put some extra time and effort into this, I would think again, because this game clearly did not sell as well as they were probably hoping. Sure, a collection like this isn't supposed to have 100,000 people in game. You can't expect them to do insane numbers, but when the all-time peak was only 1,012 for such a classic collection, and it's supposed to be a easy the sale to nostalgic Mortal Kombat fans, yeah, I don't think that they're going to put a lot of extra effort into this. I don't see them making major improvements for 1,000 people here. And yes, it did sell and release on other platforms, so maybe it did a little bit better there. But when you only see 1,000 for the all-time peak at release, you can't expect it to do so good in their minds that they say, we're gonna keep infinitely updating it. We're gonna make this the high quality experience everybody wanted, because they just say, well, we already got their sale, so tough shit. There are some positive reviews here of people saying the only negative point I've found is that the SNES MK1 has really bad input lag. It's literally unplayable. I know this is already the lesser version, but it is the one I grew up with, and it's a shame I cannot play it. And I think that if part of the product is unplayable, it should not get a positive across the board. I tried so hard to like this, but God, the input delay is horrific. I definitely am pushing a refund on this. I'm sorry, but I think you guys won't be in the gaming industry for long.
Yeah.
And if we take a quick peek at the discussions page, there are a lot of people.
And the sad thing is, I'm pretty sure Digital Eclipse has done good remakes in the past. I'm going to look that up while she talks.
Saying, how the F do you mess up a collection of 20-plus-year-old ROMs? How did they break it? I just want to confirm with you guys, is the AI bugged? And if not, are you going to be adjusting it? How did you mess this up so badly? The online doesn't work. Major input delay. When is this going to be fixed? Non-functional online, 4 days and counting. Online multiplayer still isn't working. So a lot of major criticisms are being levied towards them at this point. And it's so sad that there were so many.
Yeah. According to this is all the games by Digital Eclipse. This new shit, the Cowabunga Collection, was pretty well done. They weren't the best games in the world, but they were done and they were put on there accurately. That's all you can ask for shit like this. As far as I know, the 30th anniversary was pretty fucking good. Worms Armageddon, sure. Never played it. This was pretty damn good. Most of these, I didn't play this. And this, the fact that this is on there, and if this was any good, anyone tell me in the comments if it was. But most of these were not bad. Rita's Rewind. Not the best. Not the best. Rita's Rewind was good. They tried too much. Literally, if they had done this with a few different variances, literally all anyone wanted was side scrollers, and then make my monster grow, and then do a like a fighting game battle with the boss or something. Definitely not what we got. They put a lot of thought into this and tried to do a lot of different stuff. You didn't need to do all that. So I think this probably broke them. They probably did too much on this and decided to go not nearly enough on this. And they fucked up. They fucked up. I don't know. I don't know enough about Yu-Gi-Oh! To know that. I haven't heard anything bad about this. But yeah, the Aladdin Lion King remakes were pretty damn good. I mean, they were just faithful recreations of the previous, and you had, and this was the example I was thinking of earlier, but I said the Mario Party thing. But they had the Sega and the Super Nintendo versions, which, yes, they were completely, well, almost completely different games. They had very different sections. This, as far as I know, pretty good. Pretty good. But they have a decent history. And I really think that the Power Rangers Rita's Rewind maybe broke them. But yeah, next time, make different decisions as far as boss types go. Or at least as far as boss battles. The growing sections, not great. But anyway, let's continue with Miss Very Dark.
many people that were so hyped for this collection who are now either refunding it or they're just hoping and praying that Digital Eclipse is going to put some work and effort into this, though I can't say I expect them to because they released it and we know how companies are. They launch remasters and then they set them and forget them, and they put a minimal amount of effort into them after release. So I'll be keeping my eye on this, but if you haven't purchased this yet, I highly recommend you hold off. You wait to see if they respond to the criticisms and if they actually do release some heavy lifting patches, or if they just, completely disrespect the people who bought this for $50. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments.
All right, make sure you check out Vera Dark. She does a lot of good work over there on her channel. But yeah, this should have been a slam dunk. And not so much. This is, not as big a disappointment as this, but we all knew it was coming because of the decline of the previous 2 seasons and the not great but serviceable attempt of the first season. But let's continue. We are running out of time, so let's jump over to Mr. Crowder and what's going on with MAGA.
Fishing, or even putting bow ties on the fish that you fly.
Hold on.
Topics, and whichever in their own right, and of course, quite anti-cancel. Last week, Tucker Carlson, this has lit the internet ablaze. Tucker Carlson hosted Nick Fuentes on his show. Interview has over 5 million plays, 5 million views as of this time. Both controversial figures in their own right. And of course, there were plenty of people who were unhappy about it. And this is,
for all the wrong reasons, as I'm sure he'll get into.
Trending everywhere, and people are now questioning, hey, is Tucker Carlson MAGA? And I think that's the wrong approach here. I think the real through line is, hey, we need to contrast truth versus falsehoods. And I think it's really important whenever you're covering these topics, and whichever side you line up with, don't use victim words.
No.
Disgusting, vile, offensive.
Vermin.
Yeah.
They said it.
Address the issue. And I think that it's a valid conversation to have. There's certainly some legitimate criticisms to make, but the approach from those reacting on the right, I think, is also pretty destructive. It's time for Claim Truth. So the claim...
And before he gets into it, I just want to make it known, I'm not a big fan of either. I've never liked Tucker Carlson, even when he was beloved by the right and MAGA. Never been a fan, as I said. Not conservative. Hi. Fuentes, what the fuck, man? I will say, I've seen clips of him over time. I've never watched his show outright, but I've seen and I've made sure to get the full context of some of his clips. He said horrendous things. Even more horrendous than Tucker Carlson going to Russia and being like, oh man, this is only $100 in American money, and it said like 600 rubles or whatever the fuck money they have in Russia. Yeah, that's what they pay with. Like it's the same concept as Eurotrip and a nickel. I buy my own hotel, and he slaps his boss. Okay, these people are poor. Okay, imagine if instead of dollars, like they have, their currency, and their currency compared to ours, like, yeah, us going over there and only spending 100 or something bucks for us is nothing. Yes, it's cheaper than it is here, but for the people who are there, that's astronomical. Tucker Carlson cannot be this stupid. But I think Tucker Carlson is this stupid. I'm sure he'll get into that later too, but let's continue.
That you are seeing from some people right now on the right who are using the term woke right, which is in and of itself absolutely asinine and makes them look dumb. And I will say this because some people in the montage you're about to watch, some of them have been on this show. Some of them I like. Some of them I agree with on some issues personally, and I disagree with them on a whole lot. So I don't really have a home in this one, which kind of sucks, trying to call balls and strikes. But their argument is that the real problem right now is Tucker and his ilk are not MAGA.
I see somebody with a sign said Tucker is not MAGA. I guess I got to put his name out there. That's not MAGA.
Tucker Carlson is the most
He's not MAGA. You're retarded.
Mistake. Tucker is not MAGA.
He's not one of us.
You're MAGA and America first
when you're lining up with the Marxists and the Islamists and Hamas and the terrorists. That's not America first. That's sick.
There's a lot of people online talking about how the right is trying to cancel Tucker Carlson. First of all, this is 100% accurate. Tucker is not MAGA.
He's not MAGA.
Okay.
Shut up.
I don't know if you know this. I'm quite anti-cancel. And there's a difference, though, between when people say cancel culture, which was a term that was used quite a bit, where that's coming from those in positions of power who are deliberately precluding people because of a specific point of view or political persuasion. I know that that is not the same thing as people en masse deciding that they don't want to support someone and having a problem with it. That's closer to a boycott, and on the flip side, a boycott. And I understand people having disagreements. I have a lot of disagreements with Tucker Carlson. We've gone through them. But let me first clarify what should not be a disqualifying factor. And I don't see some of these people there understanding this. Interviewing controversial figures should not be disqualifying at all.
Not ever.
Whether it's Nick Fuentes, whether it's Vladimir Putin, whether it's Sergei Lavrov, whether it's Dugin, who we interviewed, Jeffrey Sachs, or Clint Howard, the lady nun.
That.
I was like, wait, what?
These are not disqualifying factors, nor are bow ties or recently becoming enamored with fly fishing or even putting bow ties on the fish that you fly. I mean, it's off-putting.
That's cute.
That's where the bow tie went.
Can you go back? I missed that last step of tying the bow tie. Just need to look at it one more time.
I think it's a clip-on. He just clipped it to the gills.
It's a better method.
And by the way, I forgot to tell you, best way to stay in touch, download the Rumble app, follow me there. That's where we stream. We are beholden to viewers like you, so we can cover this as honestly as we want. Let me then move on to, unless anyone disagrees, that should never be disqualifying, because I would be disqualified.
No, not at all.
Anyone seeking truth would be disqualified. I've had people on this show who hold abhorrent viewpoints and have tried to argue my point with them.
You know who wanted to cancel Tucker for going to interview Vladimir Putin? It was the people on the left initially.
Right.
Right? So let's not line up with them in the idea of doing an interview with somebody controversial being a cancelable offense. Now, content matters.
Well, the left did it with Donald Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un.
Right. Yeah,
right, being the first president to cross that line.
Closing up the dictators.
Right. Now, there's a huge difference between meeting with dictators or interviewing dictators and cozying up.
Partying.
Or giving them a layup.
Or
a softball.
Oscar.
Right. So, that's not, I'm always very uncomfortable with people making that argument. And I see a lot of people saying, he's platforming these people. You sound like the left. Now, let me
you really
put forward what I think should make one skeptical. If you get to that point where you are, for example, running interference, pushing propaganda for known foreign adversaries, like espousing propaganda regarding Russian grocery stores.
So we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a contemporary,
they are putting this on here.
2024 Russian grocery store, 2 years into sanctions.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. So I guess you put in 10 rubles here, and you get it back when you put the cart.
Oh, he discovered Aldi.
Yeah.
So it's free.
Yeah, I was like, we got that. We have that here.
Return it.
Wait till he sees Trader.
I love how he's been to grocery stores in Russia, but not America. Clearly.
Shows.
Oh, come on.
Trader Joseph Stalin's.
Unicorn and mini mills.
That was very funny.
All right. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought.
Again, let's look at this.
It was $104 US here.
And I've watched this part before. Look at this. Rubles or whatever. 9,481 and 37, whatever their version of cents is. And I don't know what the fuck this is. Look at that. He's talking about how much that is in American currency. And it's showing on screen what that is to them. And you can't say it's the same thing as like yen or something because you have the decimal point right there. I don't know how much the, hold on, let's see. What's the average currency of a Russian worker? Oh, Jesus. What's the average monthly income for a Russian worker? Okay, so I'm freaking out for no reason. Apologies. But again, this is the average. Approximately a month, they make $930. But still, him coming over there with American knowledge, and not even American knowledge, but rich American knowledge, and the heir to, I can't remember what fortune, he never has to work again. So yeah, so when it comes to this currency here, they make anywhere from $84,000 to $88,000 a month. So for this to be probably every week, that's an ask. That's an ask, and I don't know how much. Hold on, how much is the average rent in Russia? So yeah, for an average 1-bedroom apartment, $265 can be as high as $460. That's in our currency. So yeah, 2-bedroom, $325. So yeah, say you're paying this every month, and this doesn't even include. You're pretty much fucked if you go in there and get what Tucker got, and this is probably a week's worth of groceries. Maybe with a little hangover, but
and that's
or a
when you
layover.
start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought. Corruption. If you
it still
take
matters.
people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether.
Or maybe you look at the exchange rate and you study what the average income in that country is, or what the average rent is in that country, or do this, like I say it to everybody, left and right, any fucking research whatsoever besides, it's only $100 in our currency. Fuck off, Tucker.
You're a good person or a bad person, you're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us.
Well, what about Russian leaders literally imprisoning people for holding the wrong political perspectives? Or the fact that 60% of all Russians spend at least half of their income on food.
Yeah.
Because of how poor they are.
Yeah, and then that's literally what I just looked up. So that times roughly about 4.5. It's unreal that he would take such a simplistic look. And whether or not it was because he was in Russia and he has to do what they say, but he never came back and corrected this. Who the fuck knows why?
They get their 10
Apologies for all the
rubles
language.
Yeah, exactly.
when they return their cart.
And does Tucker's a smart guy?
Yeah.
You've never heard me question his intelligence. And by the way, I've spent quite a bit of time with Tucker.
I'll
He's done
do
a
it.
segment on Fox News Sundays where it was a debate with Bob Menendez, the senator, disgraced senator, former senator, his daughter Alicia Menendez, and sometimes Tucker Carlson would moderate it. He's smart enough to know that is not only half the story, but it's misleading, it's dishonest.
He would
I have
have
no
to
problem
be.
with him interviewing Vladimir Putin.
Nor I.
I'm skeptical when I see someone spouting the talking points that Putin would like that are lies, that are dishonest.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Can you guys comment? Let me know if I'm trying to be as fair as humanly possible. No problem with
the interview's good.
Yep.
I think that's important. But addendums.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't think we need that.
It's propaganda, essentially. Right? And going around and smelling bread, making everything look great and saying, corruption.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of the ball game, Tucker. You can make things cheap and almost free to your population. That's not the issue that we have with a Vladimir Putin or a Mamdani or anybody else of that.
And that's not the issue here either, because it's not cheap. It may have been at one time, but it's not.
Ilk. It's the, mass murder, taking over of industry, silencing people, putting them off in gulags, all of the things that we really care about, like, life being the very first one that gets taken from you if you're not in favor with the regime. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And by
Also,
the way,
I have
we
the
can
same
hold those
glasses
views
he has.
and still think we shouldn't be sending money to Ukraine.
Right.
And that's why you'll never hear Tucker Carlson want to have a conversation with yours truly, because you can't say that we're in the tank for Ukraine. You can't say that we believe that we should be sending an open-ended check to Israel. But that's how they often tar the names of people who oppose him. That's not the case here. And then people responding going, I can't believe that he platformed, insert whatever person here. They're playing right into the hands. And I just don't like seeing the right becoming fractured because of disagreements very similar to the left. You shouldn't platform this person. You shouldn't talk. If Hitler was alive today and I could get an interview, you bet your ass I would do it. Same thing with Stalin. Same thing with Mao. And I can't stand any of us alive today and I could get an interview. You bet your ass I would do it. Same thing with Stalin. Same thing with Mao. And I can't stand I would do it. Same thing with Stalin.
Oh, it said Hitler bad. Okay.
Same thing with Mao. And I can't stand any of them. You wouldn't hear me saying, and by the way, Hitler has actually made Germany pretty good. Or Stalin is actually, he did a great job, though at least he made sure that Hitler didn't. In other words, insert whichever villain here.
But when you go to the grocery store, there's no Jews.
Yeah, exactly.
But have you seen their train station?
Yeah, their train station.
I mean, the Autobahn.
Here's another example where I think, it should raise some eyebrows. If, for example, you want to interview an imam, great. I did it. Remember, I did it at your old storage unit.
Chowdhury, yeah.
Imam Chowdhury, who literally said that I should be executed.
That's true.
On air.
I didn't disagree with him on everything.
And I remember Gerald going, did you just hear that? I said, yeah. He just said I should be killed.
Pretty much.
Now I disagree with him.
He didn't change your mind?
But if I had interviewed him and then simped for him and be like, oh, by the way, he's right, I should be killed because I'm one of the decadent Westerners, then, okay, it should give you pause. If
you don't think you should be executed
law.
just because you're a
Sharia
decadent
law is
Westerner?
bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
Correct.
I hate that laugh.
Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this.
Now do Kandahar.
With a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And, if people want to get wasted, they do it.
That's because they can kill you. No one steals things there because you either get things chopped off or murdered.
At home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And you guys caught that, right? You said a rape rate of 0.
Yeah.
Do you know the statistical likelihood of there being a rape rate of 0 in an Islamic country? Ironically, it's 0.
Well, I think it is proportional to the population of goats, though. So,
Well,
I think technically in any civilization, even a Christian nation, you're going to get a 0 rate anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, a 0 rate of a 0 rate.
Yeah.
They have a rape survivors
Rape
who
exists.
report rate of 0.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
They don't really have rape kits. They just have a guilty button for the lady.
But they do have rape kits. You buy them in the store, and it helps you to rape.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It's like a magic
Or
kit.
rape.
Or,
It's just
toolkit.
only take 2 of your friends with you because it has to, 3 or more witnesses to have a rape?
Well, and here's the thing.
Yeah,
what gives me
I've
more
heard
pause is
that.
that he's not platforming someone who could question that. In other words, there are plenty of people out there who would say, actually, the rape rate is not 0. And let me explain to you why.
Right.
You won't see that interview. It's not because he platformed someone who I don't like. It's because he platformed some ideas that simply aren't true. I think that's where you can issue your legitimate criticism. I don't know why those on the right who are opposing this are unable to do that. I frankly think that some of them may not be all that smart. And I do know, by the way, that we have to continue the segment on Rumble Premium. If you are not a member, please consider clicking that button.
Oh, wait. Okay,
Joining up. It's $99 a year. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug, or you can try it for $9 a month. You get 100% more show, a bunch of other shows. It's your best one-stop shop, and it's 100% ad-free. Hey, we are funded by viewers like you, and we never want to be in the position where we simply have to parrot what it is you want to hear. We make our references available.
I want to
try to be as transparent as possible. By the way, same thing with Foundation. You go to foundationdaily.com. It's transparent, certificates of analysis. Everything listed on the label is what will be going into your body. Let's continue with the next example.
Nutrition.
I would criticize this idea, this notion that the Muslim interpretation of submitting to God is in any way good.
I remember after 9/11 when I was like, all about attacking Islam. I knew nothing about Islam. I'm not Muslim, by the way. I don't work for Qatar.
Contrary to what a lot of people think, despite the paychecks from Qatar. Not a secret shit.
But I remember hearing someone
I hate that laugh
at the time, and like we had all these endless experts, most of whom kind of worked for the CIA, but whatever. I realized that later, but I remember who it was come on and be like, Islam is bad, and I was like, sounds bad, whatever. I don't know if I ever met a Muslim, but He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. And like, let it hang in the air like that was self-evidently disgusting. And I was like, I kind of think submission to God is like the whole point of life, but I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't think I'm against that, actually. Like, anyone who submits to God, like, I'm just for that.
Okay, couple of things. Submitting to which God?
Right.
That's a pivotal difference.
Matters.
You know that Muhammad, before he went to the cave and wrestled, he thought it was a demon.
A jinn.
A jinn.
They called him.
And he came back, and his bitch was like, no,
I've never
that was
liked
an
jinn.
angel. He was like, go back. Are you sure? It felt pretty evil. Like, no, it's an angel. Go back. See,
It squeezed me until I almost died.
Yeah, but I kicked his ass.
Yeah, this is gonna be good for you. Go back to that demon. I mean, angel.
It's going to be good for you.
So submitting to God, but what if you're submitting to a God who says, by the way, the God that all these other people of the book worship, namely Christian, it's actually the false God.
Yeah.
Jesus is not who he said he was, and you can blame the Jews. And by the way, Jews and
What?
Christians
The
who were largely
Jews?
ethnically Jewish early on. You can blame all of them for lying and saying that he was the Messiah. None of that. And that's why if you don't submit to our God, which is either A or B, it's either the true God or a false God if you're a Christian. It has to be one or the other. Either you're a Muslim, it's a true God, or you're a Christian, in which case you have to accept that it's a false God. So the way we submit to our God is by killing anyone else who does not submit to our God.
Well, that doesn't sound
Also,
pleasant.
I don't believe that he didn't know anything about Islam because he was on air nationally for quite a bit of time before that. Now, I was raised on the South Shore of Montreal. I went to Centennial Regional High School. We had a lot of Muslims. We had classrooms that were devoted to prayer, right? During lunch hour. Ramadan was a big deal. Spent a lot of time with them. I had read the Quran before I had finished my very short stint in college. And I realized that it's not about submitting to God. These are legitimate questions to ask. I don't know why someone who would claim to be a Christian nationalist.
I do need to go back and read the books again. I read them all in my 20s. I read the Quran. I read the Tanakh, which is an expansion of the Torah. And then I read the Bible. And I tried to read the Mormon Bible. It's very fanficky.
Nationalists would make an equivalency with Islam.
Nice people, though.
The two
nicest
cannot
people
be
you'll ever meet
reconciled together.
That's why I think this is one of the best examples of what I think it's fair to call Tucker out for.
Yeah.
Right? There is no argument to be made about this. Like, oh, there's context missing. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. It's like, no. Submission to God is not equal. You could be submitting to the 300 million plus gods of Hinduism or something like that, or you could be submitting to a false deity that says wipe out all the other people that submit to anybody else. Like that, it does make a difference.
Well, and the thing is, like people like Brandon Tatum, and because Mark Levin has been on this show, and I agree with him on a whole lot. I disagree with him on a whole lot. If Tucker Carlson will not host anyone who will press him, right? That's just not going to happen. It's not a thing. But these people wouldn't be able to. If the argument that you put forth is, man, Trump's not MAGA, I'm going to call it out. Okay, let's say Tucker invited you on his show tomorrow. What kind of an argument would you present? Just, you ain't MAGA? I would say, well, hold on, let's discuss Islam and submission to God. Which God is that? Hold on, let's discuss the Russian grocery stores. Are you aware that these people live in abject poverty? Are you saying that the ends justify the means if it means jailing political dissidents? I agree that we need to use the appropriate authority of our government to improve the lives of all American people. I don't think that going the direction of Russia under Putin or any Islamic nation, I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
so
I can see that argument.
What you are espousing in criticism of Tucker Carlson,
of course,
is something that would be completely valueless if you were sitting across from him, that to me is a litmus test. These are often the same people who say we should question ideas. Well, I agree. I know that there's some people like Tucker Carlson who don't like ideas questioned.
I don't like
ideas. The people who claim to be traditional conservatives, well, why aren't you going after the ideas? And if you are, you're not doing it very effectively. It just seems like two versions of identity politics on the right, and I don't want to play that game. Next example. This, I think, warrants some skepticism or some follow-up questions. You know, for example, portraying Maduro as like a based tradcon type guy, the communist.
Nicolas Maduro and his government are very left-wing on economics.
Not
Not on social policy.
Not
In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned. It's one of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is on social policy not defending the regime, just saying, one of the most conservative countries.
Is it just me, or does his mouth not match? Is it a bad bad audio on this, or is Tucker's face just weird?
In North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close.
Interesting logo
which is
up
much
there.
Smaller, of course. And by the way, the U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place if he were taken out is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela. So to those of you who thought this whole project was globo homo, not crazy, actually.
Yeah, but that's not the primary disagreement. And by the way, of course, there are plenty of abortions in Venezuela. They just don't do anything about it. Also, this is very typical, and Tucker Carlson is smart enough to know.
Is he?
You can say the same thing about a lot of communist regimes. Contrary to popular belief in the West, they didn't envision a future of LGBTQ AIP hippie drum circles. No, those people are not useful. If you're going to seize the means of production and distribution, you need a very robust labor force. So birth rates are important. So doing away with what they call decadent lifestyle of homosexuality in the West, that also affects birth rates. Then they go the other way with communist China, where they have a one-child policy if they believe that population is a problem. It always just comes down to what is convenient for that government to control its people at that point in time, and is why every single one has been thrust into abject poverty, which I think is kind of important, even if they don't allow gay marriage. So in 2024, while we're making the moral argument, 2024 alone, Venezuela generated $2.6 billion in human trafficking revenue. 188,000 people were forced into labor, 70,000 sex slaves. 105,000 forced marriages. Now, someone could argue, hey, yeah, but the arranged marriages have a higher divorce rate. Well, that tends to happen if you kill someone for divorcing. And I also think we have a huge problem with liberalism in the United States and no-fault divorce. I get it. And people using abortion as a form of birth control. But isn't a central tenet to conservatism, to America first, people being able to make their own decisions regarding marriage, right? And that gets warped. That gets perverted into the choice to kill someone else through abortion.
You're perverted.
But we can't just abandon the central tenets to our belief.
Yes,
that doesn't mean that you're someone clutching pearls going, my principles. It's like, well, hold on a second. No, this isn't my principles, so I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I'm a never Trumper like those people do. This is my principles. I think communist fascists who kill a lot of their people are bad.
Yes. And there's this argument from the far right now. And listen, I think this is why this becomes a problem, is because you don't give people an opportunity to make the point. Yes, there are things that these regimes get right, but they don't get it right in a way that's sustainable or actually good for everybody in the population. If you happen to be in the right class of people in that population and hold the right opinions and have the right duties that you've performed for them, then yeah, life can actually be very good. You have a lot of services that you get to take advantage of. Right. The minute that you're not, again, you get shipped off to gulags.
Yeah, this is true.
Disappeared. You don't get divorced. You just get murdered, and nobody asks any questions.
I mean, that's the whole way that Stalin took control. Like, Stalin just happened to luck out being the guy who gave everyone their jobs, so he made a lot of friends. And then, since he made a lot of friends, he had a lot of connections. When he had a lot of connections, he used those connections to imprison everyone who stood in his way.
The person from the ideas and the actual results. You can do it with anybody. For example, I go, well, Stalin wasn't bad. Him and Trotsky were arch enemies. How about they're both pieces of shit?
Yeah.
Goatee or not.
Yeah, and again, just because people don't like each other, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, works the opposite way too. Like the friend of my friend, because sometimes an enemy. Not necessarily always, but like, yeah, just because you don't like someone and someone else, and okay, so like say I don't like someone and I don't like someone else who does, and they don't like each other. That doesn't make us friends. But it doesn't make me friends with either one of them, because which one would I be friends with? Spoiler alert, sometimes neither.
Goatee or stash, I don't care. They were both bad. Trotsky and Stalin hated each other. Different flavor of communism. And you can say the same thing about Stalin and Hitler. At one point, they were you look at Russia and Germany, and they're like, no, not anymore. It's basically a family spat. But if I go, hey, you hate Stalin, right? So you must like Hitler. No. Hey, you hate Trotsky, right? Well, yeah, you think he was evil. Sure. So you must support Stalin. No. You get that?
I don't.
And and here's the one thing that I would have criticism with.
Sorry, I did.
is that Tucker Carlson has been consistently undermining the will of the American people, President Trump, and is driving a wedge in the conservative movement right now, where they're punching right, my right, your left, a whole lot more than left. And Donald Trump has been the most effective president of our lifetime. And by the way, I probably disagree with Donald Trump on more than any of the people in this argument, but I can still recognize that the perfect is the enemy of the good, and Donald Trump is the man who I voted for and the man who I support. You have to imagine what is the alternative. And if no one is presenting a viable alternative, then they could really just be seen as adding nothing more than they're a net harm. And so the through line with Tucker is he's been consistently undermining Trump. Maybe that's why you say, hey, he's not MAGA. Because in June 2025, for example, he said that Trump was complicit in an act of war with Israel. He wrote, politicians purporting to be America first can't now credibly turn around and say that they had nothing to do with it, can they?
I mean, pretty much.
Pointing out that a strike on the Iranian nuclear sites will almost certainly result in thousands of American deaths at bases throughout the Middle East and cost the United States tens of billions of dollars.
Almost certainly, huh? Not even Dave Smith believed that. He was on our show and said, hey, in the predictable response from Iran, they actually showed restraint. And I'm like, oh, if it was predictable, don't you think that the president knew that?
Right. Well, and I would argue that Tucker is not MAGA because he said that he loathed Trump. You guys remember this, right? January 1st, 2021, when some of these texts were revealed, he said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. That seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, January 4th, by the way, not January 1st. It's
I'm sorry.
Difference.
You know. No. Oh, yeah, you're right. 2021.
I don't think I want to see
2021, not 21st.
I haven't had one in a while. It's good.
I don't think I want to see him do anything passionately.
He usually gets at least 1%.
No, he probably admonish in the middle.
He also said this about President Trump's first term. I think this one is important. He said in a text that we're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been is too rough to digest. But come on, there really isn't an upside to Trump. I disagree. I think he's flawed. I think there's a lot of upside to Trump. That's why he was voted in again. Didn't he come out and then support him in the election or endorse him? Something like that?
Not sure.
There's no upside to Trump. Well, then, if that's the case, then why would anyone support him again? I supported him through all three of those election cycles, and I'm glad that he won. He also, January 7th, described Trump as a demonic force. He wrote, he's a demonic force, a destroyer. And he would know because he got scratched by a demon, which we just sort of glanced past. Like we just.
Wait, is that really a thing?
If I were to ever have a chance to sit down with Tucker Carlson, which I very much doubt would happen. And, you know, I'd be very respectful if ever he were to have someone who might push him a little bit. And this isn't even making fun of him. He said he experienced an actual demon assaulting him, leaving scratches on him. Like, why is that not something that more people want to talk about?
Yeah, he got paranormal activity.
Like that. Yes, exactly.
Really did.
That's
Hold on. The former Fox News host says he was physically mauled by a demon a year and a half ago. That left him bleeding and with still visible scars on his body from claw marks, as first reported by Mediaite. At the time, Carlson said he was asleep in bed with his wife and 4 dogs. Ugh. Guys, don't sleep with animals. At least not dogs. No offense if you do, man. Like, these their own, but come on. Okay, yeah, that's
like even more than paranormal activity.
Why are we not focusing on that?
Yeah, it wasn't just like shuffling the door or something. I mean, I know the series went on. Like it was like scratching him. He's like, "Oh, stop scratching!" It tickles, and then until it doesn't. Like, is that what it's like? Does a demon? Is it like when my grandfather would tickle me, and it was kind of fun until I was sure I was going to die? Is that what your experience was like with a demon? I really want to know.
He did, by the way, support him after the Mar-a-Lago visit. So
okay, well there you go.
And listen, look, the dates on this matter. So that was January 7th of 2021. We all know what happened on January 6th. It matters when he's saying this and reacting to stuff and saying this. And in that article, he said he's not going to destroy us. I've been thinking about this for 4 years about Donald Trump. So this is not just a snap reaction that he pulls back. It's I've been thinking about it for 4 years. I can't wait to be done with this guy. He's a demonic force that's trying to destroy us. He's a destroyer. listen, that's pretty. What's the flash of genius moment, like you said? What changed his mind?
Yeah, and why did it take him a year to do a January 6th special when we had been doing it and claiming there was new footage when it wasn't new? It wasn't new. We had run that footage, I mean, I don't know how many times of the QAnon shaman saying, we have to be peaceful, and laughed about it. We had our own QAnon shaman in studio. A year later, seems like there's a lot of, no one's buying that Trump is demonic? Okay, let me get back. And
yeah, it takes some time to adjust to what's popular.
Is there inconsistency? Is there inconsistency in the subject, in this case, Tucker Carlson, in their own views that they espouse? Is it very hard to keep track of? And is there inconsistency with what has been relatively established as conservative, America first, nationalist values? I would say yes. And that has nothing to do with interviewing Nick Fuentes.
No.
Who maybe, we'll have on the show at some point in the future. I'm sure I would agree with him on some things and disagree with him on a whole bunch of things.
A whole bunch
of a debate, and certainly not like a softball like Tucker Carlson. Like, that's what an interview serves. That's its purpose, is to get answers, usually from the person most qualified to give those answers. But if you just skim past them, that's where I think you're right to be skeptical. But please, if nothing else, those on the right or those on the, if people want to say neocon right, I don't even think a lot of these people, certainly Donald Trump is not a neocon. And that's the weird sort of...
Real quick, speaking of neocons, Dick Cheney passed away today. Rest in peace, Dick Cheney. You'll see a lot of people on the left, ironically, including the Krasensteins, saying, rest in peace, he was a good man and less evil than J.D. Vance. This person is responsible for the deaths of thousands. Several American soldiers he sent to their deaths. Several dozen, hundreds maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head. But... And he was vice president during what some would say is one of the most Islamophobic presidencies in American history. And the left is mourning this man's death because he came out against Donald Trump in this previous election. To which I say, he's dead and it's very sad. My heart goes out to his family, Liz Cheney and such. Just because they are bad or evil people does not mean that we can't show respect for their deaths. My disrespect comes with this. Like I said, this man came out against Trump. He was very much establishment, the same establishment that runs the left and the right, two wings of the same bird, or bat, rather. But just the fact that the left is being somewhat mournful of this man's death because he came out against Trump, they think it's because Trump is evil, and that's why people from the left and the right are coming out against him. But if you're in more of my mindset, someone who never really trusts the government, it's two sides of the establishment coming up against someone who is counter the establishment. Now, whether or not he's governed like that or lived up to expectations, that aside, that is what it is. He was very much establishment. And RIP, and they made a movie about Cheney. I think Christian Bale played him. And that guy's method. But anyway, just side thought, continue.
Paradigm that people find themselves in now, supporting Donald Trump, they're accused of being a neocon. Stop, whoever it is right now, you're not doing the right any favors by using victim words like offended, vile, disgusting, vermin, whatever it is. Go after the ideas, and you know what? Hey, if you do that, then people can see that the person in question is never bringing on anyone who would question his ideas, never bringing on anybody who would push back. But if you start, it would be very easy for Tucker to just say, well, I'm not going to have this person on. This person just said that they want to cancel me. Yeah. He'd be right. I would say the same thing, by the way, of some of those people on the right who've wanted to cancel myself, even though we probably share a lot of the same viewpoints. The second you say that you're going to silence someone, you are now beyond our national borders in the sense that you're not a conservative anymore.
Well, and there are plenty of reasons that we get frustrated with Tucker, but I want to dispel one if I can, right? It's very...
O-N-E.
Yeah, right. It's not spell. Anyway,
and again, just because I defend conservatives a lot more frequently now than I ever have, and I'm very hard on the left, it does not mean I'm right wing. I'm harder on the left because, one, they've been in power most recently and still hold the mainstream media's power. And you can't compare Fox News and Newsmax to CNN and MSNBC. Fox News does have the ratings, but it's because they're the only real source of right-wing news, when the left has... I will say the right has overturned left-wing media on social media, but that's only because, I mean, if you consider people like Tim Pool and Joe Rogan, which they are not right-wing by any stretch of the imagination. They are left-wing. They haven't changed. You have. Same with Bill Maher. Same with myself.
J-U-A-N.
Okay.
W-O-N.
The more time I give you,
good director,
the more it's going to happen. It's fine when somebody says, I like Stalin, to follow up on that question. And there's people out there going, hey, why didn't you? I understand there's a difference between him interviewing Ted Cruz for like the umpteenth time and dealing with him over several decades and understanding the guy and having an agenda for the meeting. I get that. But when you see that and then you see this softball layup of, tell me more about the Stalin thing, which didn't really happen, people have a little bit of a problem. What I don't see is the anti-Semite call. And I don't know where that's coming from, other than if he says something that is not in Israel's interest, that people are then going to say, well, you're an anti-Semite. Because I haven't actually heard, and I could be wrong, so if somebody sees it out there, send me the clip. I'd love to see it, where Tucker says things that are anti-Semitic. I may have problems with his views on certain topics, but that doesn't make him an anti-Semite. And that's what happens in this debate, this argument that the Mark Levins, unfortunately, right now do all the time. Anybody that disagrees, the Officer Tatum's out there, anybody that disagrees, they just...
Yes, just because you talk to an anti-Semite, especially if you're doing it in an interview capacity, that does not make you an anti-Semite. Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite, but that just because he interviews them doesn't make him that, is my point.
Hate Israel, they're anti-Semitic. No, they just have problems with the current system. That is a totally legitimate conversation to have, not hating anybody, just being America first.
Right.
And I think that's a problem that we have to solve right now. And I don't know that we're doing a very good job of it. It seems like there's more fracturing, especially over the last week or two, over this issue than there really should be.
And it comes at a very opportune moment, doesn't it, for the right to be fractured when we're kind of primed here to do better in the midterms than people anticipated.
Yeah.
When the right has generated a lot of momentum, and it could all be killed because of people who claim to be inside the movement punching right, and all under the guise of, well, this person is not amongst you. I think Brendan Tatum is wrong on a lot of things, and I don't think that he's particularly effective in articulating arguments. That's just my opinion. I don't dislike the guy. I have no ill will toward him. I don't think he's all that good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say he's not a conservative. I wouldn't say that he hates this country.
I don't like him on this issue.
Right.
I don't like his position on this issue. I don't like Mark Levin's position on this issue at all.
Right.
And I think he's been out there more than just about anybody.
Yeah.
Trying to silence people that have a difference of opinion. I don't like Ben Shapiro's position on this issue. None of these things are disqualifying from being in the conservative movement, though.
Right.
Like, we just have differences of opinion on this issue. Let's talk.
I will say I understand Ben Shapiro's opinion on this. Considering that he was talked about a lot in their interview, I understand why he hates them.
About it. Let's work it out. And let's not call somebody Nazi like Ted Cruz called Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
And then double down and double down and double down again. Right. And let's
it's
not
not
call somebody anti-Semite just to shut the arguments down, because that's not reality.
Well, hopefully that's what I wanted to say too with Dave Smith. I said, I don't think you are. I think there are anti-Semites out there. I think if you are blaming the Jews for all of your I think that if you have an overdraft fee and you're like, Jew, you're like, okay, that's where I think you might be an anti-Semite. And there are people like that out there. I don't think Dave Smith is one of them.
No.
And I haven't seen Tucker Carlson be that way. I think he lines up consistently on one side of the issue with an unbelievably biased viewpoint. I think if you're going to apply, hey, we need to do away with aid to Israel, great, I get that. but then make the case that wouldn't it be great if we were like these Islamic countries? Well, no, that's where I get off.
Yeah, but that just doesn't make you anti-Semitic.
That's where you get
no,
off.
it doesn't make you
Yeah,
anti-Semitic.
exactly. So they fundamentally misunderstand their argument. Their argument is, I am America first, period. This does not seem to serve America's interests. It's a problem when you try to apply that same standard when they get to Islam, though.
Right.
Because that is fundamentally against America first.
Yep.
In every way. Just look at London.
Right.
So London, historically, not America first.
No,
but but to your point of this kind of descent at a time where we're poised to do well in the midterms. CNN right now is doing a poll about unfavorability of Democrat leaders. 55% unfavorable. They showed it a second ago.
They're 25 points underwater. Only 29% of registered voters have a favorable view of the party.
So this is a great time for momentum for the right.
Yeah.
And then this infighting and dissenting views and who's not.
And that's the biggest thing. There's enough trouble and problematic stuff happening on the left that they can unify and take them down for next year's election. And I know we have a whole other year, literally exactly a year, to straighten all this shit out, but then so does the left. And people need to think about these things, honestly.
MAGA, who's part of our movement? Like,
right.
What a bad time. Like, they're crumbling. The left is crumbling. Now is the time to just...
You know what it used to be? To give you an example, like the primary before...
And literally, all the left has to do to be effective, take notes from me right now. All the left has to do to be effective is stop having their only policy position being fuck Trump. If they ease back on the fuck Trump stuff and then ease back, okay, well then and ease back on all the 1% issues or the 9% issues, 10% issues, 1585 issues, 8515 issues, whatever, then they could win. And then also stop being Gavin Newsom.
Donald Trump won in 2016. Mm-hmm. It was a very large primary. I don't remember how many people there were. But this is what people on the right sort of did. Is they go, okay, on that stage we have Jeb Bush, we have Rand Paul, we have Carly Fiorina, we have Ted Cruz, we had Marco Rubio. Who else do we have? We had Donald Trump, obviously. I'm trying to remember who else was there in that primary. But that tells you there were oh my God! I forgot about
Christie
Kasich.
in that one.
Chris Christie was definitely.
That's right, Chris Christie.
He came
both
to
those
every
elections.
buffet.
Yeah.
Right.
And people really thought it was going to come down to Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. Definitely not Kasich.
Oh, Jeb Bush too.
Jeb Bush. I mentioned him first, but that told you like there was pretty wide spectrum, and then we're going to narrow it down, right, where everyone makes their voices heard. People pick who is best, most representative of the party. And I get there are people in charge sometimes who really sort of more install someone like Mitt Romney. He wasn't anyone's top pick. You could say the same thing about McCain. But in this one, people got to decide and they picked someone different. And then once that happens, you go, okay. And of course, Donald Trump, while flawed or while imperfect, is certainly better than Hillary Clinton. And conservatives, Republicans, those who might be more moderate right, those who might be more nationalists, go, all right, we understand the enemy that we're facing, the enemy within, which is the left that want to trans all the kids and take all the money, and we would become a unit. Now people are just going, hey, all of these are disqualifying factors. Can you imagine if every single faction there made...
And by doing that, you're just becoming the left, but on the right. Because the left, there's always purity tests. This is how it's been for the last 10 years easily. There's always purity tests. You're never pure enough to be purely on the left. That's how Joe Rogan ended up being considered right-wing and a Nazi. That's how Tim Pool ended up being that way. Shoe on Head's considered a Nazi by a lot of people, even though she's a Bernie bro with titties. The right can't do this. And if you do this, then you're going to give it back to the left because people that's their default setting these days. Especially a bunch of old Karens. And let's face it, while the right has their share of Karens, most of them are on the left.
Every difference of opinion a disqualifying factor.
Right,
well, that's what a primary is. And then these same people say a two-party system, man, is screwed. Well, okay, I was raised in going back to the issue of
and also, everyone needs to pay more attention to primaries, whether it be for the DNC or the RNC or anyone else. Pay attention in the damn primaries.
Islam. I was raised in what people refer to as a mosaic right? The multiculturalism where people kind of have their own factions. That's why I did a lot of research into Islam, because I didn't like some of the answers I was getting from very friendly Muslim friends in my school. And the more I read about it, the more troubled I was. That's just how we used to do it. And now people go, oh, okay, let's just destroy the person who went through this process. What do you think happens?
Yeah.
And then it's even funny to me where someone like Dave Smith goes, well, then it would be Vance. I know that obviously next in line would be Vance. You think this guy's going to be less hawkish? But the truth is, if you delegitimize the most effective and one of the most supported Republican presidents of our lifetime, guess what? It doesn't matter who's next in line if they're better. They don't even get a fair shake. Yeah. Is that better for the country?
It's not.
No. Oh, you're still here? And you're still...
And then that's a good point. You hold Trump's feet to the fire, and any politician, hold their feet to the fire. But you have to push them in a way where you still support them if they're on your side, unless they cross that line. If they cross that line, delegitimize them all the way around and see what we can't do to get the next one pushed in, or get them both tossed out and get the head of the House of Representatives pushed in. Giggity. But you can't be... Oh, that's where that comes from. Neat. Anyway, sorry. You can't just be default party line. But when the other party hates you and wants you gone, it's your duty to make sure not only that your party thrives, or that the side that doesn't hate you and want you dead thrives, but that they don't become the exact same thing that you hate. That's what happened to the left. The left, and albeit the right was never as bad, or at least not within my lifetime, the right wasn't as bad as the left has been lately. I mean, people will bring up the abortion clinic bombings, and they brought that up until January 6th, and they'll bring up January 6th until 2040, probably. My God. But you cannot let yourself become that which you hate. I've seen it a lot with my friends. I've always been an outcast. My friends have always been outcast for the most part. They get a little bit of power, or they grow up, like say you're a teenager and you grow up into adulthood, and then you suddenly become hot. And you become the same twat that was horrible to you. You try to be friends with them, or just try to be how they were. Then it was never about them being mean to you. It was about you wanting to be mean to other people. I was watching Welcome to Derry, and there's a perfect case in that. My least favorite character in the whole show so far is not the mean girls. They're awful, but you expect them to be awful. It's the goofy girl who reminds me of the fat girl from a movie called Now and Then from the 90s. Christina Ricci and a bunch of other, that girl from the 90s. You're basically the fat girl from that movie trying to be popular. And while everyone needs a stewed fish, you're just being mean for no reason, and you're just doing it so people can make fun of you behind your back. Just be you. If you're a twat, then be a twat. But I'd rather you not be. I'd rather people be nice. Maybe have some jokes here and there, but for the most part, just be a decent person, and people will maybe respond to that. But definitely do not let yourself become that which you hate. If you were beat up, if you were bullied for being different, for being gay, for being Christian, for being Muslim, for being Jewish, whatever it is, your head's gigantic. Okay, you're fat. If you ever become the opposite, don't become just like the people who were horrible to you. Because if you do that, then they've truly won. They've made you like them. They've bullied you into being a fucktard. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming by.